Hello. And welcome everybody to what I believe is our 49th ever Saturday Challenge Finals. Today I'm joined by the lovely Astrid. Astrid, how are you doing today?
Hello.
It is a
It's, uh,
fantastic day for some Legacy Magic, is it not?
it is a wonderful day. Thank you, Oliver.
So today, this is incredibly exciting, y'all. We have two of our regular Saturday competitors here. We have Glorious Wolfman, aka Caleb Woodward, I believe, I think is still currently an SCG article writer, if I recall correctly, against Quirios, who is actually one of our recent champions. I believe has won two of our Saturday events in about the past month and a half. Glorious Wolfman on Izzet Delver, rocking the good old whale. I love this deck list so much. And Quirio on his patented Esper ninjas. So I got a question for you, Astrid. Who do you
Oh.
think's favored in this game one?
Knowing how the 3-color ninja mana base tends to work out, I have my doubts about the ninjas deck. But
So,
it made it this far, so who knows?
oh, that's right. And also, thank you so much for the correction to our spotter. Actually, Caleb Wilbur is a CFB writer. We do also know of note that Wolfman is on the play, which I think is a huge advantage, strictly in the line that you're talking about, where
Mm-hmm.
Ninjas normally is almost wasteland proof, right? Besides your like
Right.
two underground seas,
But
but you are a lot more exposed to it now at this point.
mm-hmm.
And it looks like both players are keeping 7, and so we're basically ready to go at this point. So, real quick, I do have to say that while I do agree with you that Izzet Delver is favored in this game one, especially before we see Dimir ninjas being able to bring in the extra removal with swords out of the sideboard. I do think that ninjas on Quirio's side is favored if this happens to go to a long game. So if we start getting to
Yeah,
like turn 8, I do think that the pendulum is going to swing over in Quirios' favor. What do you think about that, Astrid?
that sounds about right. I don't see too much in the way of actual card advantage from the side of Delver. There's just the adventures are pretty cool. The whale that you've mentioned is a sweet addition. Um, there definitely isn't much removal from ninjas in game one, but the whale gets considerably worse with swords to plowshares coming in.
Oh, absolutely. Can I just say I love Ethereal Forager so much. That card is
It's so
so
cute.
cool. Try killing that with a Drown in the Lock. I dare you. Try to do that after you delve away the 4. Actually, let's go ahead and let's talk about Glorious Wolfman's list for a second here. There's some really cool things going on here. So we see that Wolfman is rocking the 1 Bone Crusher Giant, 1 Brazen Borrower split, which
Mhm.
is super, super sweet. The 2 Ethereal Foragers and the 2 True Name Nemesises. But the thing that I think is going to be most interesting and impactful on this game is that Glorious Wolfman has kind of done what a lot of Delver players have been doing of late in switching away from the Chain Lightning, which was kind of the standard thing before the banning, right? And going instead to Fork Bolt, which, of course, Fork Bolt is nowhere near as good, specifically in this matchup, in that
There's a lot of X3s in the ninjas deck.
exactly right. The one thing of note is you are able to do like kill 2 Ingenious Infiltrators with Fork Bolt or kill Baleful Strix and Ingenious Infiltrator. So there is some possibility of making those Fork Bolts convert well. Oh, and we are seeing this aggressive turn 1 force and the Daze snapping back. Oh,
Nice.
this is not where Quirios wants to be at all.
Yep. And we'll see a ponder from Quirios, so a
Going
little bit less aggressive. We could still see an Ornithopter at this point, but
kind of.
I wouldn't. Yeah, it looks like Quirios is immediately on the back foot. This is kind of. Oh, there's not even there. Yeah. Okay.
And this is a shuffle. Oh, okay. Well, Quirios is digging deep here. That
Yeah,
was an
Quirios
incredibly aggressive
immediately on the
force.
back foot, just as I was afraid.
Oh, absolutely. And
Now
playing the Ornithopter.
there is an Ornithopter, but we'll see what it can do. That Delver's gonna start getting in real soon. No flip.
Flip. Ooh, okay. Well, that's exactly what Quirios wants on his side.
Yeah.
We're seeing the Vault come back down and just pass,
Bug
no
and a
texting.
pass. That is an incredibly quick change of pace, actually. Now,
Hmm.
there, now Glorious Wolfman is obviously represent. Oh, okay. We see a stifle on a fetch.
And
Brainstorm in
Brainstorm.
response to stifle. Days in response to Brainstorm.
I love this stack so much. I'll be totally honest. I've already lost
Yeah.
track of everyone's hand size at the moment.
Yeah, a second no flip for Delver, but we are seeing some generally pretty good trades.
I really like these lines that Glorious Wolfman has been making. This Days on
Yeah,
the Brainstorm felt fantastic. We're really
that's an
going hard on the mana denial plan.
incredibly aggressive use of a card that common knowledge says is basically supposed to be as passive as you can get.
Yeah, right. Looks like we have another cantrip coming down.
Yeah.
Yep, we have another Brainstorm. And this one actually resolves. Quirios has to be feeling good about this now.
Yeah, how many dazes can he actually have?
Well, there's only 2 left. We know that at the very least. At least until the whale comes down and we start getting him back.
Mm-hmm.
Glorious Wolfman with 4 cards in hand at this point. Really unfortunate that this Delver hasn't been able to flip yet with these blind flips, but that's kind of the nature of the beast at times.
Yeah.
See if this is going to be
Quirios has been
Brainstorm.
completely unable to take any advantage of that, kind of sitting on that Ornithopter.
Yeah, but this still feels good in this situation. Glorious Wolfman hasn't been able to chunk in for any damage.
Underground's to
Quirios,
go.
yeah. And Quirios has just been able to slowly and Lightning Bolt on the Ornithopter. Oh.
And then we'll see Delver get pushed. So that's the end of that.
All right.
This would, or
So
not sure
Fatal,
what's
so it looks like
happening
Lightning
here.
Bolt's still on the stack here, choosing to daze the Lightning Bolt.
It's
Okay.
dazed. This would be a perfect time for a Forager. Just saying.
If we get, all right, perfect. Now we,
Fetch. That's a fetch go. Okay.
Wolfman finally getting to having 2 lands in play for the first time this game after all of these dazes.
We'll see
And
an
we have the Ninja coming
Infiltrator be
down.
ninjutsu'd in. And no bolt. We'll see a card drawn and a pass.
We definitely have hit that threshold where Quirios feels to be the advantage one, right? Glorious Wolfman was just not able to actually convert on the advantage.
And the Wasteland is just a little too late.
Oh, yeah. Still feels relatively okay here. The only problem is we really need the answer for the Ninja, or it's just the game's going to be over. It's just going to be run away with.
Okay.
Well, let's take a look over at chat. Charble looks like they have a question for Astro.
Oh, I see. Yeah, hello. How do you feel about the Death and Taxes Allurin matchup? When the Allurin player sees 3 lands and 20 cards. I'd say that's about the same as any other matchup. But
I feel like there's a story behind this question, and I already feel like we know the answer to this question as well.
Yeah.
Seeing the Stomp come in on the Ornithopter, unfortunately unable to actually take out the ingenious Infiltrator.
I'm sorry for your loss, Charble.
Yeah, Prez, it is incredibly spicy that we get to see a Bone Crusher Giant in this list.
Yes. I love me some Bone Crusher Giant, even if there aren't quite as many 2 toughness threats in Quirio's deck. That seems to be one of the weaknesses of running Forked Bolt and Bone Crusher is you leave yourself with a little less 3 damage removal, but there just aren't quite as many high value 3 damage targets anymore. Thanks to the banning of some very egregious 3 toughness threats.
Looks like we have another question coming in from Lizard Wizard Blizzard 2003. Love that name. If they printed a legacy playable removal spell that could not be shorted into 1 or 2 syllable words, how quickly would the format explode? You mean in terms of me being able to talk about it? Things would be difficult. I already stumble over my words enough.
Yeah. I don't like Bone Crusher, but I'm biased because I play Standard and Bone Crusher is absurd in Standard, yeah. But Stomp is a 1-syllable word, isn't it? Also,
Seen this Teferi
you do
come
realize
down.
that you are talking to me, and I have a special love for Bone Crusher Giant. It is.
Well, it is a burn card, Astrid, so of course you would love it. Chunking in for 3 again, getting this draw. And I do have to say, this game does feel relatively over at this point. This is going to take an amazing turnaround. I think Quirios has 3 cards in hand still at this point, or is that 4? Hard to tell with these sleeves, to be totally honest. Seeing a Wasteland come off, hitting the White Source, but with this Teferi down already, there's just so many cards that are turned off on Caleb's side here.
There goes the Teferi.
No, that's very true. We did have the Stomp bounce back then. I suppose we missed that. Passing back.
What is the white in Esper Ninjas? Teferi. There's Teferi in the main deck.
There's Source of Plowshares in the sideboard, and then Disenchant as well in the sideboard. And then also in this list, the 3-mana Kaya is also in there as well.
Yeah, that is some spice. Kaya gets underrated so much in Legacy. Have to say, I've seen enough of it in Maverick where you can get away with a lot of things, but
it's just amazing how much
Kaya action.
We actually might, because this is one of those matchups where that -1 is actually kind of relevant, only against the Insectile Aberration, of course.
-1 kills a Delver, +1 hits Forager targets, and also slows their clock down. There's basically no deck that Kaya is actively bad against.
Or completely dead against,
it seems like. Yeah. I'm interested.
Oh, we can absolutely talk about Royal Wizards. The Fracture card does look absolutely ridiculous. I'm incredibly excited to play with it. We're seeing a Force pitching Stifle.
Yeah, it's about as good as a removal you can get that doesn't hit creatures, which is a little annoying, but...
And the Retrofitter Foundry resolves. This situation is just blowing up even more.
Is Wilt not a strictly better disenchant? I think you missed the thing that Wilt is green, making it a strictly worse disenchant.
That is very true. They are technically different cards. And that was an incredibly impressive game 1, I do have to say. Again, it kind of came down to Glorious Wolfman not being able to convert that early aggression and really start chunking in any damage. The Delver just never flipped, right? And Quirios was just able to get out and grind out the advantage. That was an incredibly impressive game 1. Let's go in and let's talk about sideboards here. So let's talk on Glorious Wolfman's side at first. We have 2 Pyroblasts, 2 Abrades, 2 Surgical Extractions, 2 Blood Moons, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 1 Blazing Volley, 1 Soul Guide Lantern, 1 Hydroblast, 1 Null Rod, 1 Brazen Borrower, and 1 Grafdigger's Cage. What are you liking on Glorious Wolfman's side here?
Pyroblast is good because it hits all of his card advantage engines. So Pyroblast cleanly answers even a Ninjutsu Ninja. Abrade similarly kills 3 toughness creatures better than Forked Bolt. Abrade also hits Retrofitter, which is a big scary thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I see another Brazen Borrower being good because the card is just... It's very tricky, and this is a matchup where it's good to be tricky.
Yeah, I do wonder how many slots we're actually able to take out. So we're already at 5 cards in theory between the Pyroblast, the Red Elemental Blast, and the Abrade.
Well, you take out the 2 damage removal, that's 3 of them.
Yeah, well, that's 2 of them, right? Oh, I know, the Bone Crusher Giant as well, right? So I do wonder what else can come out. Spell Pierce feels as though that can come out, although it's a lot better when you're going to be on the play again. But I could see as that being a thought that comes out.
Less good. I could even see a Force of Will or a Force of Negation come out. Because
I can absolutely respect that.
This is a matchup where you don't want to be bleeding cards, and a lot of their threats, Force of Negation doesn't hit ninjas at all. Well, I mean, it hits a Retrofitter, but you're also citing in more answers to that.
Well, I definitely feel a certain way about Force of Wills and grindy matchups where I'm very quick to side them out. So I can absolutely get behind that as well. Let's jump over to Quirios' side. So Quirios has 3 Thought Seizes, 3 Surgical Extractions, 2 Plague Engineers, 2 Swords to Plowshares, one of those white splash cards, 1 Disenchant, 1 Narset Parter Avails, 1 Liliana of the Last Hope, 1 Kaya Orsov Usurper, the 3-mana Kaya, and then 1 Pithing Needle. What are you liking out of this sideboard?
You mentioned Drown of the Lock being bad against Ethereal Forager. I could see that come out for some more swords to Plowshares. I don't see very many other slam dunks.
Um,
Narset is good because Delver is a blue deck, and I could see Narset, but I could also see not bringing in Narset because days. Um,
So for me, when I look at this, a lot of it comes down to what Quirios didn't see and what you suspect. So when you go
uh-huh,
up against Delver matches a lot lately, you are expecting True Name Nemesis after the game, or
true.
as in the post board games, even if you didn't see them. So I can see the Plague Engineers coming in. I think against Blue Red specifically, which Quirios, of course, doesn't know for sure that this is Blue Red from the cards that came up in the last game. It could be one of the splashes, either Grixis or Teamer, right?
Mhm,
But if you do know that it's Izzet, you can also be fairly certain there's Young Pyromancer. So I do like the Plague Engineers even more so, even without perfect information. You make a very solid point about Narset when you're on the draw, where it is a little bit harder to convert on your dazes. But I do think that you have enough cards that can potentially be coming out. Again, I really, as Eternally Surprised, one of our local ninja players knows, I very much love to side out Force of Wills every time that I see this Delver versus Ninjas matchup. So I do think that you can kind of cut back on the force negations. Your dazes when you're on the draw as well can come out as well. And these cards
mhm.
that are a little bit more versatile can be coming in. So again, these Swords of Plowshares, the Plague Engineers, and I do think we can fit in the Narset
I
as
never
well.
really
And just try to
entirely
find a
got the hang of playing with Force of Will in the first place, so it's still a little strange to me, the
oh,
scenarios in
absolutely.
which it comes out or doesn't.
So the game's progressed just a little bit. Of course, we are going into turn twos already. Quirios with the impressive, ingenious infiltrator and ornithopter start, which is kind of as good as it gets in terms of starts. That isn't retrofitter foundry and ornithopter right away.
Right.
It looks like Glorious Wolfman
Uh,
was able to set up the perfect brainstorm, of course, but no pressure coming out yet. And so Quirios really has just started to run away with the advantage. Looks like Lizard's coming in with another question. What do
yeah,
you think of the new utility cards in Strixhaven?
there's a lot of utility cards. Most of them, it's hard to say. I've seen a few brews going around. The one blue green, that's like, what was it? Quandrix Apprentice that draws you a land whenever you cast a spell. I saw a funny brew with Uro and Omnath and that thing that could potentially generate a lot of cards, but I don't know. Let's see. There's utility cards.
So there's the
Most
really
of them
great
feel just almost there.
there's the
Like,
really good Orsov removal spells, of course, right? And
yeah,
then
there's
yes,
those
there are the
removal spells which hit everything except Uro, and if your removal spell doesn't hit Uro, that makes it considerably less good these days. I
it's like we're
think
seeing Delver
Boros.
Resolve.
Yes, you do know I like that white super prowess. Boros could potentially overtake mono red in a format like modern, which A has access to Luris and B does not have access to Wasteland. I'm excited. It almost even makes me excited for modern, which is not a thing that happens much. But legacy mana bases are kind of fragile. Um, I've played enough burn. I played 4 rounds of burn today in this tournament before commentating here. And the mana base you just cannot afford
Hold on just
to
one
add
second here.
colors.
Did we just have an island and a tundra tapped to have
Did we?
the ninja come in?
I s-
I guess in the end it didn't matter, right? Because it was island because then Underground Sea was just tapped to resolve a ponder. It looks like we did just have a little bit of a oh, that's a
that
swamp. I
was a swamp,
apologize.
not
I
an island.
apologize. So
Does the
of note,
red
of course,
less
while we
magnetic?
were talking there, we did have an ingenious infiltrator come in, an attempted reb before combat damage was dealt, but then a force out of Quirio's side to protect it. So we are starting to get to that advantage state again, where Quirios is just going to be able to start running away with it. A little
And
unknown about
Artemis, I
a
don't see
little
much about lessons, to be honest.
yeah.
Um,
The lessons do very much feel that they are not for our format,
like
right?
they're overcosted in order to get around the fact that they're free cards. So I guess they could have potentially learned a lesson from companions and made free cards from your sideboard cost way more than they should this time. But
let's see. The Ingenious Infiltrator is dead at this point. We had the other Pyroblast. We had one of the Pyroblasts come in. So we've now at this point seen 2 of the 3 blast effects come in on Glorious Wolfman's side. However, and we have a Retrofitter Foundry. This is must answer at the moment because this is just going to grind away with the advantage, and the only way to interact with it is the Brazen Borrowers or the Abrades. And we're immediately
we're making 4/4s.
That is a beater, to say the least. I would kind of like to know how many cards are in Glorious Wolfman's hand at this point. It looks like it's about 2, potentially 3.
See a very cool looking Pyroblast revealed by Glorious Wolfman, but
that's the third blast effect.
It can't hit Retrofitter, which is at this point public enemy number 1.
Oh, for sure. We really are digging for those Abrades or the Brazen Borrower Petty Theft if it is still in. Main phrase Brainstorm. Chucking 2 cards back. Do we have fetch? Oh, perfect. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I like how we're just subtly rooting for Glorious Wolfman now.
I want to see a game 3, you know what I mean? Especially after that kind of the snowball that happened in that game 1. And it definitely did feel a couple of turns ago that Quirios was advantaged again as soon as the Ingenious Infiltrator had been protected after it came down. I would very much like to see Glorious Wolfman be able to get it back and us be able to see a game 3 here.
Yeah, that Strix is going to be a big pain, though, for this Delver.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see a Bolt hit the Strix.
Always a bad feeling when you have to do that, but I feel like Glorious Wolfman is priced.
Doesn't have much choice.
Yeah. You need to be converting a silver into
down
damage.
To 15. And Quirios in turn puts Glorious Wolfman
down to 10.
10 with the 4/4. The Delver isn't even the biggest clock now anymore.
And that's another 4/4.
Yeah. Things are looking a little grim.
Just a Lizard Wizard. The way that I think of it is mana value is I have no issue with it. You know what? Like, we will continue to refer to things as we refer to them. Like, if you say converted mana cost, people know what you're referring to. It's fine that they're using mana value on cards.
If you've still said into play anytime after M10, it's the same thing. It doesn't really matter that much. I still say into play sometimes, and I haven't even played. I didn't even start playing before M10.
Seeing a block and stomp. All right.
Thank you, B1 Lauver, for the follow.
Thank you. Glorious Wolfman trying to be able to deal with these 4/4s just really good. The nice thing is with these adventure spells, right, is that block with the Insectile Aberration really was a 1-for-1 because you're able to then turn the stomp into this creature as well. Yeah. So if this is able to trade with the 4/4, we're feeling pretty good. But this Retrofitter Foundry is still just going to slowly take over the game again. Especially now with Quirios at 5 mana, right? Where we're now representing a 4/4 every other turn, correct?
We are.
Looks like I feel like Quirios does want to swing into this here.
Yep. Trading the Bone Crusher effectively for yet another one.
Oh, and there's another Ornithopter. The third Ornithopter comes down. This feels incredibly difficult.
Oh no. Yeah.
Big thanks to Chaotic Bear for being our table spotter today, giving us a little bit of the table talk happening down there. Quirio saying, "You have 1 card in hand? Huh, I think it's a Pyroblast." Glorious Wolfman responding, "Oh, why would you ever think that?" After we had seen it earlier, of course, off of
the Chandra Blast. I can't wait to get my copies of it in.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I have a lot of love for those Pyroblasts. If I didn't have my already damaged old ones, I would be moving in.
Gotta love me some damaged cards.
Oh, big collector of damage cards. Both of us are, ain't that right? And
Yep.
all right, this is
Uh,
it. This is representing lethal.
yep, it is.
Another retrofitter foundry. Okay.
Oh no.
Swing in, Brazen Barber bounce.
Brazen Power, putting off the inevitable.
Hits 2 down to 3, and we're gonna have at least one 4/4 on this next turn, or we could have just one 1/1, right? I always need to re-look up Retrofitter Foundry to remember the numbers on all of them. I think we have either 1/1/1 to be made and make it 3 1/1s, or to convert one of these 1/1s into a 4/4.
Yeah, I see 4 mana there. It's 3 mana to untap.
And scooping it
Yeah,
up.
okay.
Ninja is putting out an impressive
Thanks,
game.
Glorious Wolfman, for not making me do math.
And Glorious Wolfman showing us that Null Rod came in. I got a lot of respect for that as well, just for the
Yeah.
Retrofitter Foundries. Brazen Bar looks like a Brazen Bar came in as well, and we did see the 3 Rebs coming in as well. I do wonder if we're going to see those Abrades. That was okay, perfect. So it looks like we see a full 7 cards coming in for Glorious Wolfman's side, but Quirio's really impressively taking it down, and Ninja's putting on another show for us. This
I
is going to be
was
Quirio's third
surprised here.
first place finish. This was this was kind of our guaranteed match of whoever won this was going to take down the tournament. So Quirio's taking down his third event in about a month and a half here. This is putting on a really quite impressive run, I do have to say. So Astrid, I have a quick question. For anybody who's watching in the chat, if you would like to join what you're seeing here, how could I go ahead and take a part?
Well, you could type !Discord into the Twitch chat here, and it will give you a link to our Discord server. And you can play in events like this one every week. We
That's
also
right.
have a monthly league and Tuesday night fight nights for extra action.
Of note, of course, I believe our league signups for this next April league are ending on I believe it's Monday or Tuesday, whenever it gets pulled. Monday night is kind of what we say, but maybe Tuesday morning is your last chance to sign up for our April leagues. Fantastic times. Actually, my first league ever, I got to play against Astrid as one of my first matches. Absolute blast. Totally got me locked in and committed on the community. And we do as well have one of our EU tournaments tomorrow. So Sunday at 10 a.m. British Standard Time, we're going to be having our Sunday event, hopefully. Of course, it is Easter, so it's a little up in the air right now about whether or not that is going to fire, if we'll get enough players. Just go figure, having it be on such a major holiday is a little difficult. You can expect an announcement for that in Discord. Again, you can join that with !Discord. Besides that, thank you all so much for joining us today. It was a fantastic day for Legacy. Thank you to everyone for joining us on this holiday weekend, whether or not you celebrate it. Astrid, you got anything to say before we head out?
No, just good games from everyone. I was proven wrong a little pleasantly.
Oh, wait, about what?
By this matchup.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we were kind of saying the long game was really going to be going to Quirios, and it was all about whether or not Izzet Delver was going to be able to convert being on the play into, getting there, pushing all the way through and denying the mana. But to everyone who joined us today, thank you so much. We hope to see you in our chat again soon and in our Discord. And as always, let us be your local meta.